You just stepped in to the First Issue Club podcast. You know, there's a lot of number ones that come out each and every week, and this podcast right here, it's in our name. We cover the best, the most notable, the most reader-friendly number ones each and every week, and we love to do it with you. This week we are covering Post Americana on Image and King in Black, the Immortal Hulk number one. I guess it's like a tie-in.
Yeah, it's a number one for sure, because if it wasn't, it wouldn't be on the show.
It's important to say the number of the comic book that we're covering so we know whether or not it's covered in this podcast. There are a lot of podcasts. There are a lot of comic book podcasts. We are the only one covering number ones each and every week.
We put our checkpoint in the show.
Mm-hmm. We have a small list of criteria that each comic book has to meet.
Mm-hmm.
If this is your first time here, we do news right now, and then we get to the books. It's such a fucking fun experience that some people have had to go do like heroin or something after they listen to this to slow themselves down. They just get too hyped on life.
The format's infallible here.
We're the ultimate high.
We did a doozy of news last week. I'm still like coming down from the high of all the news stuff that we were doing last week. Greg, what's in comic book news this week?
Actually, quite a bit. I won't even get into the fact that Marvel got me to watch an entire investors meeting to see trailers and movie news. Other podcasts have covered that in extensive format, so we're just gonna skip on over it.
Literally, the gas station attendant, the guy that fills up my gas when I go to the gas station.
Sure, yeah.
He was like, "Did you hear about the investors meeting of Disney?" That's how common this was covered.
And you said, "Don't look at me. I'm a king."
I said, first of all, you know, I drive here specifically because this is the only place in town where I get my gas filled.
This is a new little thing I just learned about you. Someone else puts gas in your car.
In this one area, yeah. It's a Sinclair.
Ooh, okay, so Sinclairs are known for that. They're like the last people that do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Except on the East Coast, like everyone does it.
Yeah, legally in New Jersey.
Legally?
In New Jersey.
Yeah, that's so strange.
It's specifically New Jersey, not the East Coast.
Okay.
It's a law.
Thank you for correcting me.
Well, I wouldn't want people here
I appreciate that.
I wouldn't want them to think that they were, you know,
yeah,
somewhere else on the East Coast.
Our East Coast fan base is probably screaming at us.
They'll slap your hand if you do try to do it.
The only place I go on the East Coast is New Jersey. Nowhere else.
That's why I love that. You love Bruce Springsteen. You love Italian things. New Jersey's where it's at. We love our friend Doug in New Jersey.
What's up?
Oh, Doug, what's going on?
Comic Book Doug.
Jersey.
So yeah, we all got conned by Marvel. But other news, I'm gonna hit you with some stuff. Maybe you know about it, maybe you don't. And I want your honest reactions. First up, Silk, the comic book from Marvel, is coming back in March.
Aha.
Due to COVID, it was pushed back. We thought it was indefinitely not coming out. Was announced today, the 16th, that it's coming out in March. So that's awesome. It's also announced that Daniel Warren Johnson, who did Murder Falcon and Wonder Woman Dead Earth, is on a new book called Better A Bill for Marvel. It's a limited series, 5 issues.
The Horse Thor, if you're wondering.
Horse Thor. What else? Bendis is moving to Justice League. He's no longer on Superman, and that has a new writer, Philip Kennedy Johnson, who's doing Superman and Action Comics. So a big shuffle up in DC right now. After Future State, we're going to see a lot of new things coming out.
What's
DC.
Philip Kennedy Johnson done before this?
Oh, I think he did Low Road East and a bunch of other indie comics.
Cool.
So he's been fucking slam dunking it.
This is a real business journal of an episode.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, keep it coming. I love this.
Well,
This is like
who got promoted? Who changed jobs?
The water cooler on floor 11 has been out of order for 6 months now. It's being repaired at the DC offices.
Greg, what should I do with my 401k?
Invest in waffles. Archie Comics recently acquired a new hire to boost their Mighty Crusaders line, which is their version of superheroes. Do you know who it is?
Like the person, the human being?
The person who they hired on to help boost their sales.
Was it Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas?
Nope, it is Rob Liefeld.
Wow,
Whoa.
really?
Archie Comics has signed on Rob Liefeld to help them launch their Mighty Crusaders line.
I never would have guessed.
I never would have dreamed in my wildest dreams that Archie would be that desperate to hire on Rob Liefeld to do something.
I don't know if I'd call that a desperate move.
That seems like a big money move.
Just like an off-character move. Like, normally they're more in on writers who can do it silly. And I don't think of Rob Liefeld when I think of that. Like, when they did the more serious Archie,
Mm-hmm.
it was Mark Waid who can be silly.
Mhm.
Jughead was Chip Zdarsky who can be silly. Kelly Thompson does Sabrina, but can also be like fun or serious.
Right.
I think they're leaning more towards their Afterlife with Archie and their other properties that are in the horror
Right.
genre. So they're trying to lead more teen, I think, with this Mighty Crusaders and I Can't Draw Feet, Rob Liefeld.
Do you think he likes the feet joke?
I think he likes cashing the checks that people give him. And the fact that we make fun that he can't draw feet
I
just
can't.
rolls off him like raindrops.
I can't draw feet, so.
I can't draw a lot of things, but I also don't get paid. So
I've never been paid.
never once. I am a
Never.
hobo.
Never once been paid.
DC is going to launch a new Joker ongoing series in March. First reaction. What do you think of that?
Seems like yes, that's what they would do.
Are you on board for that?
I've been drowning in Joker lately.
What if I was to tell you the writer is James Tynion?
Oh.
That's cool. Is he gonna stay on Batman?
Yes.
So they'll probably tie into each other.
Yeah, this is the direct spill out from Joker War.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was gonna be like its own storyline. Got it.
It is. So it's Joker being like hunted down by tons of people after the aftermath of
Got
Joker
it.
War.
Okay, that's awesome.
I just didn't know if the fact that James Tynion was writing it swayed you guys one way or another to pick it up or not.
Yes, I'll read the first issue on this comic book podcast.
You know what? I think we'll probably cover it on this podcast if I'm being honest.
I'm interested in that, I guess. One thing I like that's going on with the Batman run right now is there's many tiers of characters who are like willing to kill somebody, like Batman not willing to kill Harley
Mhm.
Quinn, and kind of game. That white
Oh,
shielded looking guy.
what is his name?
I
He
can-
wears genie pants.
Yeah, he wears genie pants.
Designer?
No, not designer. The rapper designer.
Yeah. Panda. Panda, panda, panda.
And then Clown Killer.
Yep.
Who's
Yeah.
just like horny to kill somebody.
So horny.
And I would love to see like them go after Joker, or just different Gothamites be like, we're sick of this. Like that seems to be a heavy theme moving forward on like when it comes to a point where you have to break your rules about killing somebody.
I mean, if Zack Snyder is going to have Batman drop an F-bomb in the new Justice League movie, he can kill someone in the comic books for fuck's sake. Let's just, rip that Band-Aid off. Give
Please.
Batman a gun. Hashtag now.
Give Batman back a gun.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, exactly.
He's had them before.
Very true. The interesting thing is in the back of these Joker issues, they're going to have shorter stories about Bluebird and Punchline written by James Tynion and Sam Jones with artwork by Mirka Andolfo.
Oh,
That's awesome. Good.
So that's great. We were really hoping that she was going to be back for more Punchline stories, and it looks like that we'll get small little vignettes, hopefully a larger series to come in 2021. This is the last bit of news. Boom Comics is releasing this new comic in March called Proctor Valley Road, which is a joint venture with UCP, which is basically just like a TV publishing company that is now getting into comic books. This comic book is coming out before the show is being made later in 2022. So the show was being made, and now they've made a comic book to kind of like hype it up.
Netflix tried this with Image.
HBO Max has done it before, and like this is not a new thing that's happening now. We've been seeing this kind of trend going for the last 3 years.
I think it almost never works.
It almost never works. Grant Morrison is writing it,
Okay, well that's pretty cool.
so I mean they got a pretty heavy hitter to write the comic at least.
Yeah, the Image books were written by Mark Millar, so
True.
Oh, not-
I mean,
well-
also a really heavy hitter.
Not
they
to say
haven't
that
got
those,
fucking anywhere.
not to say those comic books weren't good. They just didn't serve to like promote the pieces. Well, in those scenarios, I don't think those have been made yet, though.
They haven't. Those books came out real quick
Right?
from one another. Like it was
Yeah.
Magic Order.
Sharky the Bounty Hunter, fucking other bullshit. It was like
Huck was one of the first ones.
Huck. It was just like week after week was the new issue, and we're like, we're getting these too quickly, I think, to like
Mhm.
help amp us up about the show.
Yeah.
And like, you're right, none of the shows have come out yet. I mean, when are they gonna finally say this isn't working?
Yeah, I mean, if it like comes out right before the show and it gives you some exclusive thing, and the comic book is just a standalone awesome, I think it would work. I'd like to see it work, I guess, is my take.
I mean, are they trying to trick readers into saying like, buy these comic books for spec that the show is going to be good? Like, are they not? counting on us doing the investigation of just like, oh, hey, wait a minute. What's going on here?
I think the only purpose it serves is that your general audience who knows they like comic book stuff, even if they don't read comic books, I'm a fan of things that have traditionally been adapted, are going to find this because, oh, it was a comic book show. So now I'm like into it. I have an audience already.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of this movie called Southland Tales? It has The Rock and Justin Timberlake in it.
No. Is this coming out soon or has it come out?
It came out like in the early 2000s.
Was this the prequel to Trolls?
No, it was made by Richard Kelly, the same director as Donnie Darko.
Okay.
It is very weird, and it's actually one of The Rock's like first movies.
I was going to say it'd have to be. That was kind of breaking my brain. This was around like The Mummy.
Right, exactly. It ends in this weird craziness, and to actually get the ending, you have to have bought this like trade to like understand what happened, and it's like famously like sold out. And it's just a trade. It's not valuable in its like condition. It just is like to even read it is $100 or more and find out like what was the movie about.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck.
I
It's
like
a terrible marketing ploy.
Yeah.
It didn't work. I mean, thus you don't even know about the movie, so
No.
Yeah. What can I do to make this as inaccessible as possible?
Let's make this more convoluted. That's like if you actually had to solve the math problems in Good Will Hunting to understand the end of Good Will Hunting.
Janine Garofalo's in that movie, and the guy from Rat Race. Do you guys remember the guy from Rat Race?
Mr. Bean?
You know, the guy's like, hey.
Could literally be anyone right now. Could be the guy that puts gas in your car every morning.
Sorry.
Great note to go out on.
Right. That's all the news I had. So if you guys want to get the podcast started, let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah, let's get this podcast started.
John Lovett, that's his name. Not famously known from Rat Race. Hey.
By the way, pitch perfect John Lovett impression.
Hey.
Oh, hey, I'm John Lovett.
So many people are going to tweet at us and say, oh, he's thinking of John Lovett.
John Lovett.
Leave it or love it.
Alrighty.
First up, we are covering King in Black, the Immortal Hulk, #1. If you're reading the Immortal Hulk, that's a series that's also going on. They had a new issue this week. This is a special event book wherein King in Black, taking over the world, lots of beastly, venom-looking, swirly characters are everywhere, going to destroy the world, and Immortal Hulk is caught in the mix, and it's Christmas time, baby.
Hark, hear the bells, hark, hear the bells, hark, hear the bells, hark, hear the bells.
Oh,
Yeah,
talk about peaking.
it's peak season, y'all.
Budget King and I had a argument over the better cover today in the comic book shop. I got the B, you got the A.
The A is the better cover?
You liked it because Hulk is skinny and emo on the front of this one.
Correct. He looks like a skater boy.
This comic must have happened after the events of the last issue of Immortal Hulk. I'm assuming it tries to like work into the time frame, right? Because it's what's going on in Immortal Hulk right now. It's relevant.
Well, and it's a good thing because Al Ewing wrote this book.
Yeah.
And he's writing Immortal Hulk.
Right.
So I think he kind of knew what was happening. I'm sure he's getting more confused because he's writing 15 million books right now.
Oh, so many. We covered an Al Ewing book last week with Sword.
I do need to make a quick disclaimer. If you guys pick up this book and you think you got a faulty issue or something was wrong with your printing, it's okay. There are no words in this book.
It is a silent issue.
It is a silent night, if you will.
I have read silent books before. I have never read a silent event tie-in book.
I'm a little biased because I do like no words in my comic books.
Yes, that's your definitive nature. People know I wear 2 pairs of underwear. People know you don't like
Reading.
reading, period.
Event tie-in should be fun and easy.
Yes.
And this was fun and easy.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was.
This book is a 100% thrill ride. I loved every moment of it.
I think giant kudos to Aaron Cooter here.
The artwork was
The
insane.
artist.
Yeah. What is there to say about a silent comic
Yeah,
book?
that's it. Well, what I was gonna say is that like halfway through, I kind of like forgot there's no words.
Oh, I was kind of in the same boat, to be honest.
Because you're just like following the story and you're like, oh, okay, here's the other thing about King in Black. It's a giant event, but it's an event done so well that it's like they're a symbiote anywhere. And if it's big enough, then somebody has to fight it.
So you're saying they don't have to like pretzel the storyline around in some uncomfortable way to get like Captain Marvel in here somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, little symbiotes over here, little symbiotes over there. Oh, you
Yeah.
want a dragon symbiote? Oh, you want a 3-headed symbiote? You want a troll symbiote? You got it.
Yep.
It's world domination, baby. So
Mhm.
everyone on planet Earth is on board to kick
But-
some ass.
So I love that happened. It made it inconsequential to kind of King in Black. It was a fun story, but it doesn't really like determine whether or not the king.
No, it's just a happening that was going on during the time of King in Black.
And it's Christmas time, which I love. I was thinking about this the other day. If you make a Christmas movie and it's like actually good, that's amazing. Like if it's not because if
What do you
it's-
mean?
Because like most Christmas movies don't stand on their own outside of the season. Really, it's only like Die Hard and some people like Love Actually
And Gremlins.
and Krampus.
So we're talking about movies that the genre isn't Christmas movie.
Yes, besides those movies we named,
Yes.
if the genre is Christmas movie, is there a movie that's like I would actually watch that outside of the season of Christmas?
Sure. I mean, I would watch Scrooge
Okay.
with Bill Murray. I mean, so
That's-
I get your point that like Christmas movies are a little weak because they rely on the nostalgia of Christmas for people to like them and revere them.
A Christmas Story is a bad movie, but it's a great movie on Christmas Day.
The thing about Christmas Story is it's a lot longer than you think.
It is, and you
It
always
is.
you always remember one part of it as the movie, and you forget that it's like kind of in 3 acts.
I guarantee we're going to get heat for this, but I 100% agree with that take.
The movie should end right after Ralphie eats food off his plate like a pig. That's where the movie ends.
That's the climax.
Yeah, I like the soap eating too.
Here's a little Christmas Story
Soap
trivia for you.
soap
'Cause
and trivia, by the way.
it's Christmas time, so we can talk about this.
Yeah.
Did you know they made a sequel to that movie?
I did not.
They did. It's set in the summertime.
The lamp has 2 legs.
yeah, it does. It's 2-legged lamp, and the mom collects plates.
Christmas Vacation and Jingle All the Way are 2 examples of great Christmas movies that stand on their own.
Why are we still doing this? Every Christmas movie you've named has been good outside of being a Christmas movie.
I'm thinking of all the Hallmark bullshits.
Those movies are just terrible to begin with.
Okay, you know what? Let me
I
backtrack.
don't think you can compare made-for-TV movies that
Yeah.
are
You know what? I
completed
was
in 2
giving
weeks.
Hey Al. I was giving you a compliment that you made an amazing Christmas story book that I would read in the summer. But my friends, Greg and Mike D, they don't think it's that big of an accomplishment. So I'll take that away. I'm very sorry.
The accomplishment here is a very touching and a thrilling book with no words. It relied heavily on Al Ewing giving.
And you're not going to give them any extra points for being Christmas as well.
It doesn't fucking matter. It could be in the middle of fucking
Yeah,
June, this
it could,
book.
It could be Groundhog Day. It could be the 4th of July.
It just happened that it came out on Christmas. That's not a big deal to me.
No. It had like a Christmas feel to it.
Why? Because snow?
Because they're in a toy store and like they have like all these Christmas references and it ends with a
It was trying to highlight that the Hulk is childlike and he is like just reliving his childlike nature of toys and having fun.
It was a great reminder for that. If you're trying to like onboard into the Hulk right now, it was nice to see the savage Hulk, which is like what he is right now, reverted to like base emotions.
If you read
Just
that,
like I'm really like a baby. I'm really mad. I'm laughing and loving life.
It does end with a Charles Dickens A Christmas Carol story.
Motherfucker, I swear to
I'm not
God.
like gonna read the quote. I'm just telling you that like this is very much a Christmas book.
Yeah, and what we're saying is that you could have just replaced that quote with a quote about patriotism and made it
a 4th of July
a 4th
book,
of July book.
and the Hulk is super jazzed about fireworks.
Yeah, right.
No, we completely disagree.
No, because the Hulk isn't reliving a Christmas memory or anything
This book-
revolving around Christmas.
this book has a good Christmas feel to it. I'm gonna pop this out Christmas Eve alone and read it and have a nice Christmas themed time.
Good luck.
I don't need luck. I know
I
how
don't need luck. I have this Immortal Hulk book.
I know how good it's gonna be.
This book was great.
It was wonderful.
You're going to read all 0 words of it.
I loved this book, and I had no reason to love it. This was like, it is a sleeper week for comic books. This event could be convoluted. There's a lot of story going into Immortal Hulk. It's silent. It's a Christmas story, which I know doesn't matter, but it is epically awesome on all accounts.
I've just got a thing for silent comics. I think it's a real art form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the G.I. Joe issue did it once with Snake Eye.
Mark Waid and Chris Samney did the first issue of their Black Widow run. It's an amazing comic that barely has any dialogue in it.
I think Cullen Bunn did one. I forget what comic
It's
it was.
a tribute to the G.I. Joe.
Right,
book.
but I can't remember. Was it Six Gun?
It's the Six Gun, yeah. It's the same issue number of it.
It's a kind of a fun niche thing to collect.
It is, and it's like...
Silent books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really
Age
shows...
of Reptiles? Anyone?
Oh my
Oh,
God,
yeah.
that's like 5
Yeah.
issues. So good.
They're great.
Man, but that doing a silent issue just shows the strength of the writer and the artist together.
Yeah.
Like being able to like cohesively do that is not an easy thing to do.
I would like to see script notes. You know how they do director's
I was
cuts?
actually thinking about that. Because it's funny to say Al Ewing wrote this.
Yeah. Just even a sampling of pages of him explaining like
Yeah.
what he wants to happen in it.
I just wanted to be like, changing to Al Ewing directed this.
Mm-hmm. They did director's cuts of the first few issues of Immortal Hulk,
Yes, they did. Yeah.
and they were really interesting. A lot of the collected compendiums that I buy too show some scripting, and then the early panels next to it. And it always does surprise me how much direction you get to aesthetics and facial expressions and all that stuff. And maybe that's just certain writers. Like,
Well, famously, Brian K. Vaughan gives like little to no description.
is that right?
That's what he says. I don't know if he's just like in panels. He's just like very praiseworthy to his artists.
Yeah.
But he's always like, it's not me, it's the artist. Like I don't give them much direction.
Man, more cred to his art team then.
Yeah.
Especially
sure.
Saga.
Yeah, totally. So
I just bought book 2
Of Saga?
of Saga.
Nice.
When I say books, I'm meaning the like
Collected,
fat,
yeah.
thick guys. Yeah.
I went ahead and
hard
just,
bodies.
just bought the like flimsy paper, all of it.
Oh, really? There's an omnibus.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
How is that
That's
reading?
a lot of issues. Yeah.
What?
It's
Like
got to be
that-
pretty unruly, right?
I mean,
Yes.
how was it reading? Yeah. I basically had to read it in like one day. Cuz it's like cuz you
Yeah.
lose your place and stuff like. It was amazing though. It was such a nice journey.
Can I say something?
Mhm.
If you're gonna do that, like just get a giant omnibus of like that's like 50 issues collected into one. Get it digitally. That thing on your shelf you're not gonna bring back down and reread. Like if you're gonna read it all in like one lump like that, get that shit digitally if you're not buying the singles.
Yeah, I get that.
Like cause Comixology will sell that omnibus for like whatever amount of money and you have it all just like collected.
But I like the feeling when I like it's so thinly made paper that I like rip it or it sticks together or something.
Or like read half of it and put it back on the shelf and then never read the rest of it.
Or like when it falls on my head.
I've been reading Outcast, the Kirkman book, in the fat book volumes, and I just love the way they look on my shelf next to each other. Seeing like book 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's true, but like you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So Budget King just has one like fat ass tome.
Oh, so you don't have a problem with even the individual
no, because it
books or trades.
makes for a better reading experience.
Well,
'Cause it's broken up and it's not like a giant pain in the ass to crack open and read.
Well, since you're talking about me,
It is really nice to lay in bed and just like do the guided
It
panel
is.
view on my phone.
I actually have the hardback of all of them, and then I went ahead and bought this too because I
Jesus
wanted
Christ.
it all in one
Why?
place. I just was like, oh, I just want it all in one place.
It's all in one place on your shelf already. Did you like
I
spread
got it.
them out across
I got it.
your house?
I got it from Midtown for $11.
I mean, I guess I can't argue with the price, but you're buying it all over again. And you could have bought it digitally.
Can I say I'm a fan of Saga?
You can definitely say that. No one's gonna question your cred.
we have Post Americana by Steve Skroce and Dave Stewart. This team is great. It's mostly Steve doing all of the writing and the artwork. He did Maestro. He did X-Man in the 90s. And then he did that Brian K. Vaughan like winter book.
We Stand Guard.
Yeah, which was, I loved it. It was like a little mini, like 4 or 6 part series or something like that. And it was amazing.
It's like Canada in a dystopian future or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so his artwork is just like eye-poppingly good. But in a micro description of it, there's a bubble of, I guess, old American 1%ers, and they're going to go try to destroy the rest of the world that is overrun by cannibals and bullshit, more or less, right?
Yeah, blow America up and start fresh.
And there's a lot more to this than just that. I mean, it's hard to sum this book up in a couple sentences.
So like the elite have lived inside this mountain commune that protects them against like apocalyptic scenarios, which has happened in this book.
They got lemon orchards in there. They've got pickleball courts.
They got birthday rooms if you need those.
Ugh, a room just for birthdays?
Come on.
What? These 1%ers.
I reserved the birthday room for the 13th. Your party can't come in here.
My name's on the door. Ooh, let's keep going with this.
I love
like
this
that.
character. Marjorie. It's my birthday. I'm 13.
Marjorie, the 1%er bubble girl.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the first issue Club-averse.
So this comic book, if it were just that post-apocalyptic world, which we've read a lot of that kind of like stuff on this podcast since we've done stuff.
Every 5 comics is post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's some like weird take on it.
This book stands apart from all the rest of the Wrecked Future books because it is like a B movie high off of methamphetamines dipped in bath salts, super bloody, very detailed. It's like...
I love how gory it is.
It is like tripling down on the madness, and like that's what sets it apart from books like Undiscovered Country.
There's a complete lack of subtlety in everything everyone says. It's
Oh my God, yeah.
No one's trying to hide anything. It's just like, here's my first and most honest thought.
It's like Deliverance meets
Waterworld?
Waterworld. Or just Waterworld.
There's even this, they give a whole page to this crazy cannibal, I think his name is Rudy, who they let him even defend his cannibalism in a very like articulate, astute, logical way.
When I started reading that panel, I was like, oh, he's still going. I was just like a character that you're like, obviously this guy's a support character.
Mhm.
I just didn't expect him to monologue that long. And so it made me laugh to just see like, he's still talking. Wow.
Yeah. So I read a ton of zine stuff that goes like nowhere. That's like hard to follow and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And those are fun to read, but you have to be acclimated to that. This walks the line of like going that like zany and weird, but keeping a very fine, funny, and interesting narrative. Like that it doesn't quite dip into like complete alt independent stuff.
No, you're right. This is like if David Lynch directed Mad Max. It is just off-center enough where it's going to keep people like us who are hyper into independent comic books and just the bizarre and people that need fucking structure
Yes.
and like a story.
That's great. That's a great way to say it, Greg. The structure is completely here to make this comic book great. A problem that I had when I read this is I was like, oh, I definitely want to do number 2. Like I'm so interested in this.
Mm-hmm.
When a comic book hits like right before Christmas and New Year's, I go into this time warp. And then I like have to come back and be like, if I wasn't picking it up 3 weeks prior to this, I'm like, oh wait, what did I want to do? And I really want to focus in and like not lose track of this book.
Christmas and New Year's is very much summer vacation for comic book collectors because it's like a fucking free-for-all. Like you're visiting family, you're focused on other things, parties, whatever. And then comic books is just like, hi, we're still happening over here. Like other stuff is coming out. Like please come back. And you're right, you get kind of this fog. And you're like, I don't know what I was fucking reading. I'll just go pick up another Captain Marvel book.
Right.
Did you guys find who we were rooting for to be a reveal or anything? Or were you immediately like, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys?
No, so that's one of the craziest fucking things about this book is they kill off one of the main characters, like
Yeah.
very quickly.
I don't think anything's going to be held precious in this.
In a gruesome, like surprising, like very funny way, and then somebody who you think, even when they're revealing themselves as a hero, you still think they're a villain, which is kind of crazy. This person massacres a whole, like I think hundreds of people in just 2 panels, which is amazing. And you still don't really know, like, this is definitely, that person's an anti-hero, the female protagonist here.
Yeah, she has her own interests.
They kind of lead you in with this president of the United States giving a speech to like the sole survivors in the 1%. And I initially thought that we were rooting for America.
Oh, did you?
I did. And that they were like terrorists trying to like fuck shit up.
It is.
So that was kind of a fun flip flop. To later in the comic, you learn that this guy like appointed himself president and, and he's just like a huge asshole.
Timely.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to find out, much like real life, there are no heroes in this book. It's just a book about survival, which is kind of brilliant. Like, I don't need another book with commentary about the political nature of everything or, like, how shitty the future is going to be.
Right.
The 2 characters on the cover, though, I like their dynamic because we've got one person who's a hired gun and the other person who grew up basically a servant of the 1%. His family survived because his dad was like an IT person.
Mm-hmm. So they get to reap the benefits of the bubble without really reaping the benefits of the bubble.
Yeah, the bubble's surfs.
Right.
The
Surf bubbles, if you will.
So one like amazing thing about Steve's artwork is that it's so detailed and there's so many like weird hidden things in it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys see when they like land? They're in this rebel kind of trailer community that's essentially just like highly focused on debauchery or whatever. And there's 2 people writhing on the floor who look to be in some type of like sex contraption where it's like a thing is going up their butt and they also have it on the other side of their dick. And then they have like
a VR fuck diaper.
And it's like a throwaway like side of the panel. It's just like this comic book's raw in all the best ways.
So do you guys remember the book Shaolin Cowboy by Jeff Darrow?
Oh, I was gonna mention that book is almost silent.
It basically is silent until the later issues when he comes across a talking donkey. If you haven't checked out Shaolin Cowboy, go find it. It's magnificent. This is kind of similar in the art style where it's just like hyper detailed and there is stuff to look at on every panel. There's always a joke. There's always some stylistic costume to look at. Like, it is a beautiful book.
I think it's funny too that we keep saying the artwork's beautiful, but what you're looking at is very ugly.
Oh yeah. It's beautiful in the sense of the skill to do it is like unparalleled.
So many little lines and details.
But you do see someone get pecked to death by mutant chickens. So like, let's not.
Like everyone's gross and has like gnarly like fungus on their bodies.
It's very like Toxic Avenger kind of brutality.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So yeah, B-movie was a good way to describe this. I loved this comic book. It's just wonderful in every way that I want it to be. So
I hope these 2 leads partner up and stick together. Like I mentioned before, the dynamic of the 2 of them is just going to be interesting with her kind of like, I'm looking out for myself. His mission and a goal for the greater good of humanity. And those 2 things don't jive at all.
I mean, I think this comic book is gonna kind of devolve into a John Wick. She's even said that I'm gonna kill every single person in that bubble, and she does a lot of killing in this comic book. And if that's all this comic book does, is it's just like a vessel for violence, I'm like here for it too.
Yeah, totally.
I would love if these 2 work together, and it's, I guess, a symbiotic relationship for a long time, and then it eventually gets to the point where it's like, okay, your goals no longer align with my goals, and now we're at odds. I think would be a sweet way to end it.
Well, really, I think because she wants copies of the plans that he has.
Right.
So really, all she needs him for is to get him transportation, and then she gets a copy of that plans.
Right.
And then they can split. So something has to happen where the club or the group that he's meeting up with is just like, hey, we'll hire you and give you whatever, and you can kill whoever you want, but we need you to help us kill. And that's the only way this woman stays in this story.
So even if they do split, they could be on a collision course to like meet up at the end.
Yeah.
If she survives. Like we said, nothing is precious here, it seems.
Or
I wouldn't be surprised if someone just exploded in the next issue. That we thought was a
yeah,
lead.
you're right. Like, what if he dies and now
Mhm.
it's her job to deliver
Yeah.
the plans? Like,
Right.
this could go in any direction, and it's
Mhm.
wonderful.
I love books like this where your brain starts speculating.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's always a sign of a good comic to me, that I can't quite put together where it goes, and I want to.
And he didn't even have to write in the end. You're never going to expect
Yeah.
what's going to happen in issue 2.
Mhm.
I
You'll
came
never
up with
see it
this
come.
idea 10 years ago when I was on ayahuasca in a Applebee's in Georgia. And you think you know where it's going. You think you do. I know it. I know you think you know where this is going, but guess what?
Buckle in. You're in for a ride.
That's how First Issue Club comes down from Viagra, is we read letters from the creator who are really pompous.
Yep.